गरीब देते हैं पुरसा तुम्हारे प्यारों का। सलाम तुम पे हमारे रसूल के प्यारों।
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. We talked about death and we talked about barzakh, where our deceased go, and we will inshallah go soon. By soon I don't mean in few years time, inshallah in few centuries time, but it's soon, it's still soon, all of us will go there. This is the death of individual people, going one by one to a world to be kept there, waiting for a moment to come. A moment where the word of death will be declared not anymore on individuals, but on the whole world. The whole world should die and should be destroyed. Why? Because a new creation is on the way. We are in a world which is in its incubation period. We have not seen life properly yet. We don't know what is the meaning of life. We are just in the incubation period of this world. We are like cocoons yet. The whole world is like a cocoon. It should come out of its cocoon. However, for this, there should be an evolution. And that's why there comes a moment when the word of death or the manifestation of the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Mumit will take place. Everything, every soul in the barzakh would die. Now, they have died once. That was not death. That was just going from this place to another place. The real death is going to come. Rabbana, on the day of judgment, when some people try to bring excuses, they say, Rabbana, amattana thnatayn wa ahyaytana thnatayn fa'atarafna bidhunubuna. Our Lord, you made us die twice, and you made us come to life twice. Now we confess our sins. Is there any way to compensate for what we have left behind? Now, I wanted to say these are the two deaths. The death which will come for all souls. Now, look at this one. وَيَوْمَ يُنْفَخُ فِي الصُّورِ. The day the trumpet will be blown. Now, this term trumpet is used very much in the Quran. Those of you who recite the Quran, you have come across this. And certainly by amazement, what does it mean? What does it mean that the trumpet is blown and everything? فَفَزَعَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. And whoever is in the heavens and whoever is on the earth will be terrified and soon die. Not only human souls, the angels as well. Because the angels as well are in their incubation period. As I said, the whole world is in its incubation period. Now Allah wants to take this out of its cocoon, wants to bring it out. However, human souls, the angels, do not have that capacity to tolerate, to witness this evolution of the world from its very initial phase to its final phase. This is where I said that the change will happen from Darul Dunya to Darul Akhirah, from Nash'atul Ula to Nash'atul Akhirah. قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ بَدَأَ الْخَلْقِ. Go and look around in the earth, see how Allah has started His creation. ثُمَّ اللَّهُ يُنْشِئُ النَّشْأَةَ الْآخِرَةِ. Then the final stage of this creation, He will create as well. It is still to come. And that is life. When that world comes, you will feel and sense and realize the meaning of life, the real meaning of life. This is, as the Quran says, this is just a beginning. This is just a play. وَمَا هَذِهِ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا لَهْوٌ وَلَعِبٌ. This is play and sport, just to warm up, just to get a flavor of the taste of what life might seem. But وَإِنَّ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانِ. The Nash'atul Akhirah, Darul Akhirah, the final abode, the final world is the real life. You will see, you will sense life there. Life would somehow explode out of you and out of everything there, because after this manifestation of the name Mumit, the one who make things die, then comes the manifestation which is only possible in Nash'atul Akhirah of the name Muhyi, the one who gives life. And then life comes, pours out of everything. Everything is peak, everything has feeling, everything can sense things. The earth will speak to you, the trees will speak to you, and what will be your situation? You who had some sort of life in this world. But at the beginning, it is death. It is death for everything. وَنُفَخَ فِي الصُّورِ. This is in Surah Zumar, verse number 69. وَنُفَخَ فِي الصُّورِ. And the trumpet will be blown. فَصَعِقَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Whoever is in the heavens, the angels, and whoever is in the earth, the human beings, will die, will soon. Now, when we say die, of course, there's no meaning for death of a soul or death of an angel. It means they go completely unconscious, completely a mental death. They don't understand anything. Of course, there are a few who would remain alive, which can stand this big evolution of the world, which is going to happen between these two blowings of the trumpets. It starts with a very terrifying voice. That is a hallmark of it. Not that it starts with this voice. When it starts, it comes with this very terrifying voice, which looks like a trumpet being blown in the whole universe, in the whole world. And then it all starts. And it ends with another terrifying cry, this one is the cry, the sound which makes everything die. And the final one is the one which awakens everyone. Now, between these two, which we don't know how long it would last, the world is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take it from Nash'atul Ula to Nash'atul Akhirah, from Darul Dunya to Darul Akhirah. Now, what we poor tiny souls would do when this evolution is going to take place, we of course would be crushed. Were we to be here in this evolution, were we to witness this, we would have been crushed with the accompaniments of this evolution. So Allah takes care of that. He puts us to sleep. gives us some sort of sedative, something like that, and we all go to a very nice sleep, we do not realize anything. Now again, you will see the care of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we read these things, we think that these are the revenge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He wants to punish us. These things are there to crush us. No. Why? Why should He do that? Everything is there to take us from very, very, very small creatures to very, very big, huge creatures, from a very initial tiny type of life to a real life that Allah is going to give us at the end. Now, one question you can ask me, or you can think yourself about it later on, and that is, why does not Allah create us at the beginning in Darul Akhirah? Why going through all this? Why coming to this world, Darul Dunya? And this is not only for human beings. The animals as well move from Darul Dunya to Darul Akhirah. The trees, the plants, the mountains, the earth, the planets, the universe, it all moves from Darul Dunya to Darul Akhirah. And the question is that you can think about it, why Allah doesn't do it the other way, creating us right in the Darul Akhirah so that we don't go through all these process? Why? Well, the question would be, why Allah creates the fetus first in the womb and then brings it into this world? Why not initially He creates everything, every human being, for example, in this world? Well, that's a question. Now a bigger question, why doesn't God create us initially in paradise? If He wants to take us to paradise, and we know that He has created us for paradise, hell is just a byproduct. Hell is just for a place for the trash. It's just like a factory that Allah is creating human beings, like an automobile factory, for example. The factory is actually established to produce automobiles, okay? But there is always some trash. This trash is either sold or thrown away, or, for example, in some cases, there are some very dangerous trash, like nuclear trash, for example. We don't know where to dump it, okay? So, the process of creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like this. He has created for paradise, but always there are some trash, and sometimes some very, very dangerous type of rubbish that Allah should dump it somewhere so that it does not pollute the creation, the other parts of creation. If you hear that people say even the hell is a product of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't take it that, okay, so those who are in the hell have mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No. Those who are in the hell do not have the mercy of Allah, because that is, as Amirul Mu'mineen explains, Darun laysa fiha rahmah, is a place where no mercy whatever exists. وَلَا يُسْمَعُ فِيهَا دَعْوَةٌ, no dua, no prayer is ever heard there in hell. So when people say it's a product also of mercy of Allah, it's a product of mercy of Allah because it's mercy not on the people of the hell, but on other people who are outside the hell. Because if those people are unleashed to come outside the hell, they would destroy the whole paradise. They would destroy the whole creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they have to be kept there. However, the question is, okay, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't create us right at the beginning in paradise? Good question, think about it. I'm not going to give you the answer, but just to think about it, maybe in the last session we discussed that. But until then, you have to think about it. And maybe the answer would transpire during our discussions when we are going through. Anyhow, it's a process. As Allah creates everything in a process. Darul Akhirah would come as a process as well. This is very important. Look at this verse, this long verse in Surah Hajj. Surah Hajj, Surah 22, verses number 5 to 7. يا أيها الناس إن كنتم في ريب من البعث فإنا خلقناكم من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم من علقة. Let me read the English translation. O people, if you are in doubt about resurrection, then consider that we indeed created you from dust, then from a drop of seminal fluid, then from clinging mass, ثم من علقة, then from a fleshy tissue, مضغة. These are the different stages of a fetus which goes through it, partly formed and partly unformed, so that we may manifest our power to you. You see how a drop of water turns into a human being, how the process, this complicated process goes, and you witness it. We establish in the wombs whatever we wish for a specified term. Then we bring you forth as infants. Then we rear you so that you may come of age. Then there are some of you who are taken away, and there are some of you who are relegated to the oldermost age, so that he knows, so that you know nothing after having possessed some knowledge. When we get very, very old, of course, we lose our memory, our power and everything. What is this to do with the Day of Judgment, with Ba'ath, with resurrection? You see this process. The whole world is going through this process. Now, see another thing I want to tell you. And وَتَرَى الْأَرْضَ هَامِدَةً, and you see the earth torpid. Yet when we send down water upon it, it stirs and swells and grows every delightful kind of plant. Don't you see how life comes after death to the plants? And this is very important. This is how we are going to be raised. Let me discuss it here. When we die, of course, we are scattered as dust or whatever. And our parts of our body, cells, everything are going to be consumed by other things. However, Allah says, a seed of you is enough, so that the rain of resurrection falls on it and it grows. We clone you. Doesn't matter what part of your body is where. Just one cell of you is enough. Look at the trees, look at the earth. How when it dies, when the rain comes, small seeds grow to the similar plants. Again, you will be raised like that. So, it doesn't matter where you are buried, whether you are put into the ocean or burnt or buried or left for the birds to be eaten or whatever. We will, when this rain of resurrection comes, then you will see how you grow like these plants again into human bodies. Now, but we have a long way to go before that. Now, the earth and whatever is on it, the heavens and whatever is in it, the angels, human beings, everything, with that moment of big cry, everything has died. Now Allah starts an evolution of this world. On the Day of Judgment, this universe don't go anywhere. This world will not be destroyed. Usually our imagination is that in the next world, in Darul Akhirah, there is no universe anymore. Everything will be destroyed. Where would this universe go? No, it will be there. We come back to the same world, And when I say same, of course, a same world which has come out of its incubation, which is now a different world. Now, when we die, when Allah puts us under His care, in a sense, puts us in a box and take us out of this world and say, you remain here safe, now I want to change. Then the change starts. Now look how Quran talks about this change. فَإِذَا نُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ نَفْخَةٌ وَاحِدَةٌ. This is in Surah 69, Surah Al-Haqqa, verses 13 to 17. When the trumpet is blown with a single blast, and the earth and the mountains are lifted and leveled with a single leveling, then on that day will the imminent hour befall. فَيَوْمَئِذٍ وَقَعَتِ الْوَاقِعَةُ. That is when the waqa, that incident which the whole world is waiting for it. This whole universe is waiting for that moment to come out of its incubation. On that hour, the waqa happens, and the sky will be split open, for it will be frail that day. Then the stars cannot hold, the galaxies cannot hold. They just fall apart, the stars fall apart. The oceans will be set on fire. The earth will be shaken in a way that it has never been shaken, because of course the distance with the sun and all these things will be changed. That there are some of these indications in the Quran. And the angels will be taken to the boundaries of the world because they cannot stand this big evolution which is going to happen. And فَإِذَا بَرِقَ الْبَصَرُ, when the eyes are dazzled, if there is an eye there, because there are lightnings and thunderstorms which would fill the whole galaxies and the whole universe, and the moon is eclipsed, and the sun and the moon are brought together. We don't know whether the sun would expand or the moon would expand. We don't know. They are brought together. فَإِذَا بَرِقَ الْبَصَرُ وَخَسَفَ الْقَمَرُ in Surah Qiyamah وَجُمَعَ الشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ. On that day when you are brought back to life, يَقُولُ الْإِنسَانُ يَوْمَئِذٍ أَيْنَ الْمَفَرُ. The human would say, when can we run away? Now that this is of course those who want to run away from Allah. And then Allah says, كَلَّا لَا وَزَرْ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْمُسْتَقَرُ. Now today you set out on your journey towards the Lord. Another one, Surah 81, Surah Shams, إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ. This is again indications of that evolution. وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ انْكَدَرَتْ وَإِذَا الْجِبَالُ سُيِّرَتْ. When the sun is wound up, when the stars scatter, when the mountains are set moving, when the pregnant camels are neglected. Because when that trumpet comes, still there are some people living on the earth, and they all die instantly. They go instantly from this world to that world of complete oblivion. They don't see the barzakh. Some people would. I don't know whether they are lucky or unlucky. You have probably heard this anecdote, which is not, of course, a true anecdote, that two very vicious people were gamblers and drinkers and such, and they decided to think about their lives, and they said, okay, either we have to repent or we don't repent. One of them said, okay, let's do one thing. We pledge any one of us who dies first would go to the next world and come to dream of the other, and would tell him whether these things that these mullahs say and the Quran say, whether it's true or not. If it's true, then the one who's alive repents and would pray for the salvation of the other as well. And if it's not true, then the one who is alive continues with his pleasures and the other one is dead, no problem. So one of them died, and he came to the dream of the living one, and the living one eagerly asked, "Tell me, is it true? Was there anything? Was there this squeezing of the grave, question of the grave, barzakh and sirat and mizan and all these things?" The other one said, you know, all these things I don't know. Whatever these mullahs said, I never saw. It's all lie. Don't believe them. No squeezing out the grave, no questioning, no barzakh, no sirat, no mizan, nothing. When I died, they directly took me to hell. So there was nothing like that. Now, some people, when they die, they are directly taken to that complete oblivion. No barzakh. So this is why it says that وَإِذَا الْعِشَارُ أُطِّلَتْ, when the pregnant camels are neglected, because pregnant camel was a big capital for Arabs, and no one could neglect them. But it says, when that day comes, you neglect everything, even pregnant. When the wild beasts are mustered, they are also taken from this Darul Dunya to Darul Akhirah. When the seas are set afire, when the souls are assorted, when the girls buried alive will be asked for what sin she was killed. When the scrolls of the scriptures of actions are unrolled, when the sky is stripped off, when hell is set ablaze, when paradise is brought near, then a soul shall know what it has readied for itself. Now, these are the things which happen between these two blowings, the evolution of the earth and the skies. فَإِذَا النُّجُومُ طُمِسَتْ, when the stars are blotted out, وَإِذَا السَّمَاءُ فُرِجَتْ, when the sky is split, and when the mountains are scattered like dust, and when the time is set for apostles to witness, for what day has all this been set to occur? For the day of separation. We talk about this day of separation. I said on that day, haq and batil should be separated. They cannot be together all the time. Now, there are many of such verses which talk about this evolution between these two trumpets. It might take billions of years, we don't know. In Allah's time, billions of years is nothing. It's a big evolution from this first nash'ah to the second nash'ah. But there is one thing. When the second trumpet is blown, and that trumpet is blown by an angel, that angel manifests the name Muhi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When that is blown, when the souls wake up, when our souls wake up till now we have been under care of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We did not feel anything. Now, when we wake up, we are not in those bodies of images anymore. We are in new bodies. We find ourselves in new bodies. And we are amazed. My Lord, where am I? What is this? This new body. This new body, of course, is similar to the old body. It's cloned. But this body now is a body of Nash'atul Akhirah, not a body of Nash'atul Dunya. It's very much different. The whole qualities are changed. You remember the verse we recited? وَمَا نَحْنُ in Surah Waqi'ah, نحن قدرنا بينكم الموت وما نحن بمسبوقين على أن نبدل أمثالكم. We are not incapable of changing your qualities. وَنُنْشَأَكُمْ فِيمَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and create you in a nash'ah which you are unaware of. Yes, of course, he is quite capable. We have seen his capability. We have seen his power in this world. So why should we deny that he has the power to do that? Once again, أَمَّنْ يَبْدَأُ الْخَلْقَ ثُمَّ يُعِيدُهُ وَهُوَ الَّذِي يَبْدَأُ الْخَلْقَ ثُمَّ يُعِيدُهُ وَهُوَ أَهْوَنُ عَلَيْهِ. If you think changing the qualities of this world and human being is easier for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the creation of everything in the first place out of nothing. Well, of course, the exegetes have elaborated long here that what's the meaning of easier here for Allah, and they say, and I think it's a wrong explanation, that it's easier in your eyes, because for Allah there is nothing easier or more difficult, isn't it? If there's something easier, it means that the power of Allah is limited. So something is more difficult or something is easier. No. وَهُوَ أَحْوَنُ عَلَيْهِ means you think a little bit. If you think it should be very, very difficult, no matter how difficult it is, it would be easier, it should be easier than the creation of everything in the first place. So when we are raised, when our souls come back to consciousness, they come back, they see themselves in new bodies, coming out of their graves, or where they were buried, or where they were left, where they were thrown, or whatever. They find themselves in new bodies and they don't know what has happened. Now, this bewilderment, this confusion is mentioned in some verses of the Quran, that they, at the beginning, they are quite confused. What has happened? Still, they are raised, they come to a new nash'ah, but they don't see Allah. Still, He is far away. There is a still long way to go to meet Him. However, now we have come to a serious platform. We come back. وَيَقُولُونَ مَتَى هَذَا الْوَعْدُ Surah Yasin. وَيَقُولُونَ مَتَى هَذَا الْوَعْدُ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. They say, you are promising us all the time that beware, be careful, fear the day that will come and Allah will take you into account. When is this? وَيَقُولُونَ مَتَى. I don't know how many times this has been repeated in the Quran, and every time Allah answers in a different way. يَقُولُونَ مَتَى هَذَا الْوَعْدُ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. When is this promise, if you are truthful? You just promised. No one has come from that world to inform us. When is it? ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون. They are just waiting for one single cry that encompasses everything. And some of these will be at that time still alive and will be buying and selling and shopping and haggling, and suddenly it comes unto them. فَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ تَوْصِيَةً وَلَا إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِمْ يَرْجُونَ. Then they will not be able to make a will. They are not given time for it. And they will not return to their families anymore. Everything is finished. وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ. And then Allah doesn't talk about this huge interval. And He says, the next time, the next blowing comes. وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَإِذَا هُمْ مِنَ الْأَجْدَاثِ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ يَنْسِلُونَ. Suddenly they see themselves that they are in new bodies, they are coming out of their graves, moving towards their Lord. Now they whisper with each other, what is this? Where are we? What has happened? Were we sleeping? How long did it take? No one knows. No one knows how long did it take. No one realized these billions of years which passed, and everything now has come to Nash'atul Akhirah. قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا. They say, wow, who has raised us from our graves? And then gradually they come to realize هذا ما وعد الرحمن. Oh, this is what Rahman promised. Rahman promised. وَصَدَقَ الْمُرْسَلُونَ. Apparently the prophets told the truth. Apparently they told the truth. And of course gradually they come to be acclimatized with that environment. For a while they are left to themselves to wonder what's happening, where are they going, until comes when, just like those angels coming in the grave and questioning, now new angels come to categorize these people now who have come out of the grave. We will leave this for tomorrow night, inshallah. And of course, think about my question, why God does not create us in the first place in paradise, keep us and himself of all this hassle, isn't it? So, both. Fine. Last night we talked about the reason why Hussein, peace be on him, could not pay allegiance to Yazid. And that's why he came out of Medina and rushed towards Mecca. And some people also advised him, like Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, that the safest place would be Mecca. And of course he himself had intended to come to Mecca and stay there as the safest place. Now, when he entered Mecca, of course, people came to visit him. Abdullah ibn Abbas was in Mecca. Abdullah ibn Zubayr was in Mecca, who, of course, Abdullah ibn Zubayr also wanted a caliphate for himself, and he had not paid allegiance to Yazid. But there was a big difference between Abdullah ibn Zubayr and Hussein ibn Ali, because Abdullah ibn Zubayr did not pay allegiance because he wanted to be caliph himself. But Hussein did not pay allegiance because he did not want to legitimize Yazid. He didn't want to be caliph. He knew that there is no point in that at that moment, at that time. Now, these people used to come and visit. He entered in Sha'ban, remained in Ramadan, Shawwal, and Zi Qa'dah, and beginning of Zi Hajjah. Quite for a while he remained in Mecca. Now, in Mecca, especially Abdullah ibn Abbas. Abdullah ibn Abbas, you probably have heard of him as Ibn Abbas or Abdullah ibn Abbas, the great scholar of the world of Islam, unanimously accepted by everyone, scholar of tafsir and jurisprudence, and a man of very sharp intelligence. He came to Hussein alayhi salam and he told him, Ya Abu Abdullah, you know how powerful Yazid is. This is what Ibn Khaldun has also mentioned in his Tarikh, that Hussein made a mistake. Hussein made a mistake because the asabiyya of Quraysh, the power of Quraysh, was with Yazid. And therefore Hussein could not break that power. So he made his movement at a very wrong time. Now, Ibn Khaldun has made a big mistake here because he thought that Hussein is making a movement against Yazid. He didn't want to make a movement against Yazid. He just didn't want to legitimize Yazid. This was his position. So they said the same thing to Hussein alayhi salam, that Yabna Rasulullah, you know how powerful Yazid is, how powerful Banu Umayyah are. You know that by not giving allegiance to him, you do nothing but destroying yourself. Of course, it was very difficult for Hussein alayhi salam to explain to these people what is. There is sometimes we see even among very intelligent and educated Muslims that they also asked the very same questions that these people asked from Hussein alayhi salam. At the end he told Abdullah ibn Abbas and Ibn Zubayr, who were collectively together there because they visited him very frequently, that inna Rasulullah amarani bi amrin wa ana madhin fi. Rasulullah has ordered me about something. I'm going to do that, to discharge that duty. And when Ibn Abbas heard that, he came out and he said, wow, Hussein is now gone. If he says Rasulullah has ordered me, and if this is his decision, he's killed. So this became quite transparent for Ibn Abbas. Abdullah ibn Umar, the son of Umar ibn Khattab, he was one other man who initially did not pay allegiance, but later on he was somehow encouraged to pay allegiance to Yazid. He also came to him and he said the same thing. It's a very difficult time. You better just save your life and life of your family. You can do nothing but destroying yourself. Now, very interesting answer, very beautiful answer Hussein gives to Abdullah ibn Umar. He says, Ya Aba Abdurrahman, with all due respect, because he uses his kunya and respects him very much, Ya Aba Abdurrahman, إن من حوان الدنيا على الله أن رأس يحيى بن زكريا أهدي إلى بقية من بغاة بني إسرائيل. You see how this world is worthless? How is it without value? What value this world has? That in this very world, the head of the pure servant of God, Yahya ibn Zakaria, John the Baptist, is chopped off and taken as a gift to a prostitute. So what's the value of this world? He's trying to say, and actually he knew his fate would be like the fate of Yahya, like the fate of John, because it is reported that all through his journey from Medina to Mecca, from Mecca to Kufa, on no station he came down unless he remembered Yahya ibn Zakaria and he said, may God bless Yahya. So it is an indication that he knew that his head is going to be chopped off as well and sent to a very vicious man, to Yazid. And he said, don't you know that Banu Israel, they once, what they did, from the Tulu of the Fajr to Tulu of the Shams, from dawn to sunrise, in this 1 and a half hour, they killed 70 prophets. And then they went and they sat in their shops and they did their business as nothing has happened. And Allah didn't do anything to them until later on. So this is the world we are living in. You are telling me I have to save my own life. What is the value of this life in this world? This is the answer he gave to Abdullah ibn Umar. And then at the end he said, اتق الله يا أبا عبد الرحمن ولا تدعن نصرتي. Fear God, don't leave me alone. You know, if just a few of these people, just 5 or 6 of these people had supported Hussein, because these were very important figures. Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, these are important figures. If just 5 or 6 of them would have supported Hussein, Yazid couldn't do that to him. So that's why he said, اتق الله يا أبا عبد الرحمن ولا تدعن نصرتي. Fear God, do not leave me alone. And he left him alone. No problem. Hussein became dignified, of course, by his martyrdom. And everyone else were forgotten in the history. Now, as I said, there was a completely separate development going on in Iraq. in Iraq, after the death of Muawiyah, people decided not to pay allegiance to him, and the news reached them gradually that Hussein has defied Yazid and has not paid him allegiance. So they started to write him letters that we have heard that you have not paid allegiance to Yazid. We also have not paid allegiance to Yazid. We are in charge. We are now controlling Kufa, so come to us. The letters came one after another, until 150 letters from the prominent leaders of Kufa came. Hussein alayhi salam sent Muslim ibn Aqil to find out what's happening in Kufa. Because as I said, when he came out of Medina, he was completely it was completely out of his plan to go to Kufa. So he sent Muslim ibn Aqil. Muslim ibn Aqil went there and he saw for himself that yes, these people have decided to reject Yazid and they are going to receive Hussein, and this is the only place that Hussein can go. Anywhere else would reject him. So this is the only place. So he sent a letter to Hussein alayhi salam that come. People here, yes, they are truthful, they have paid allegiance to you, and 18,000 men of Kufa paid allegiance to Muslim ibn Aqil on the first instance. Of course, he was taking bay'ah on behalf of Hussein alayhi salam. Now, of course, these people changed their mind very quickly as soon as Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad went to Kufa. And Hussein was completely aware. Muslim ibn Aqil wrote a letter to Hussein alayhi salam that come, everything is okay here, and Hussein decided to go to Kufa. Now, Kufa was not an unknown city for Hussein. Hussein had lived in Kufa for a long time. He had seen how these people treated his father. Were they not the people who deserted Ali ibn Abi Talib at a very crucial moment? He had seen how these people had deserted his brother Hassan when he was mustering an army to go to fight against Muawiyah. They all were bought by Muawiyah and they deserted him. He had seen that. He knew it. And he knew that Kufa was not a safe place. Not only he knew it, everyone else knew it. Now, Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, his brother, came to him after he heard that he is going to go to Iraq. Now, everyone came to him and said, Ya Abu Abdullah, why Iraq? Iraq is the worst place to go. You could not trust these people. And Imam kept quiet, didn't say anything. Now, this Muhammad ibn Hanafiya came to him. He was packing. Hussein was packing. In the morning he was leaving. During the night Muhammad ibn Hanafiya came and he said, Ya ibn Rasulullah, you are packing. Where are you going? This is the safest place for you. Why you go outside Mecca? He said, have you not heard that Yazid has sent an army to Mecca to kill me here? Muhammad ibn Hanafiya said, no. He said, yes, so be aware of that. I don't want my blood to be shed inside Haram. I have to move out. And this was 8th of the Hajjah. Another 3 days he would have completed his Hajj and then he would have gone. But he left his Hajj unfinished because he didn't want his blood to be shed in Haram. So Muhammad ibn Hanafiya told him that, my brother, we both know who these people in Kufa are. And you know how they treated our father, our brother. So don't go there. Go to Yemen. In Yemen you will find many followers. People of Yemen are Shias. They loved our father. Go there. Now, of course, Hussein alayhi salam knew what he was doing. He told him, I will think about it, my brother. Tomorrow morning, Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, when he woke up, he heard that Hussein is moving out towards Iraq. he came and held the reins of his camel and said, Ya Abu Abdullah, didn't you tell me that you will think about this journey? He said, yes, I did tell you. He said, so what happened? He said, I saw my grandfather Rasulullah last night in my dream. And he told me, Ya Hussein, ukhruj. Inna Allah sha'a an yaraka qatila. So this was not anything to do with politics now. Now everything has changed. Now Hussein has a big mission. And that big mission is to show that, look, what is happening in the name of Islam is not what my grandfather Rasulullah wanted. If it was not for Hussein, we wouldn't have ever thought about the history the second time now. He said, I saw my grandfather in my dream. He said, Hussein, move out. Allah wants to see you killed. There Muhammad ibn Hanafiya started to cry. Well, he loved his brother very much. And he said, if this is the case, why are you taking these women and children with you then? Because everyone thinks that you are going to lead the people in Iraq. And you are taking your women and children because you are going to set up a government there. He said, Rasulullah told me, Inna Allah sha'a an yarahunna sabaya. Allah wants to see them as captives. Now it's very clear why they should have been captive, because they carried the message. They said to everyone what happened in Karbala, didn't they? It was very important that when Hussein was moving for such a mission, he has backup. He has people who would tell the whole world what happened in Karbala. And these were those women and children. And it was in this way that he moved out. Right outside Mecca, he met Farazdaq. Probably you have heard of Farazdaq, the very famous poet of the time. He was coming from Kufa. And Hussein alayhi salam told him, what is behind you? First of all, he said, Ya Abu Abdullah, what has happened? Hajj is not finished. You are out of Mecca. He said, well, there is a reason for it. What is happening in Kufa? Farazdaq said, you want the truth or you want something which would please you? Abu Abdullah said, of course I want the truth. He said, you know, Qulubun Nas, this is now when Muslim ibn Aqil is killed, because the same day Muslim ibn Aqil was killed and everything was turned in Kufa, Abu Abdullah moved out. And of course, Farazdaq, who had just recently come out, knew what was happening in Kufa. He said, Qulubun Nas ma'ak wa suyufuhum ma'a Bani Umayyah. The hearts of people are with you, but their swords are with Banu Umayyah, because they are tempted. Imam alayhi salam said, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. I knew that. And wal hukmu yanzulu min as-sama'. The hukm, the rule comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I move forward. Despite all these news, I move forward. Anything happens, the one whose heart is God is not harmed. Now, these statements of Hussein alayhi salam during this whole journey, while everyone is telling him, don't go there, Muslim is killed, everyone is against you, all these words show how he knows about his mission and how reliant, how confident he was in this mission where he was going forward. And the most difficult part of it, of course, were those two women and children that he was carrying with himself, he was taking with himself, because he knew that he is taking them to a very, very terrible place, and he knew that he's going to make them witness something which no woman and children can stand. And inshallah we'll continue with this story tomorrow night. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tahir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaykum salam.
What is the time frame between the evolution and the resurrection?
Only God knows. We don't know. We have some numbers in traditions like 40 years or 400 years, but they are not authentic. It should be very, very long time, and it should be in scale of billions of years. So we don't know really.
One more question. Once we are dead for the second time, are there any of people that we'll be recognizing at all?
We recognize everyone when we are raised again, although the faces might be different, but we recognize everyone, yes, everyone that we knew in this world.
Dr. Saab, if I'm not mistaken, in Surah Waqia they say that you should be of three sorts. Those of nearest to God, those of the right hand, and those of the left hand. But then it says that those who are the nearest to God, they will be many from the past, but few from later times.
Yeah.
Are we in the later times and there'll be very few of
shame
us?
to us, we are. Yeah. Yeah. That means that people in the past were better than how we are. There are many of those who were close to God in the past and fewer of them in later times. However, Ashabul Yameen, those ordinary believers, there were many in the past and many in later times. So in that sense we are equal. Just in the sense of being very, very, very close to God, people in the past probably were better off than we are. Yeah.
Yes.
My question pertains to, you said that everything will die. This world will die to make place for another group of people to come. Am I correct in that? Is that what you're saying?
Not for another group of people to come. To change into a new world, this earth will be changed into a new earth. يَوْمَ تُبَدَّلُ الْأَرْضُ غَيْرَ الْأَرْضِ, the day when this earth will be changed into a different earth. And after all these changes have happened, the same people who were in Barzakh and were put to death or were put to unconsciousness, then they raise. They raise, however, when they come to consciousness, they see themselves in new bodies created for them in this new world, on this new earth. So we have to bear in mind that the concept of physical existence doesn't disappear, it doesn't go away. It's there. And the earth is there, the skies would be there, but in a completely different, with completely different qualities, which are unknown to us.
Just one more question. Has that happened before, where this whole earth has been destroyed?
Not with this universe that we know, because this universe is in its incubation stage now. Maybe Allah has other creations we don't know. No.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum. In your early part of your lecture, as a matter of fact, right in the beginning, you said we have to die twice. We'll be dead twice. In other words, we'll die, we'll be in the barzakh, we'll be resurrected and die again. I'm sorry for this question. I have
No,
not. When will be the second time?
Yeah, we will die, we go to barzakh.
Right.
But that's not real death. That's just a transfer of soul from one place to another place, okay? The second death comes when the blowing of the trumpet starts and the whole souls, all the souls which are living in barzakh will be put to death. Souls which are living in barzakh will be put to death. So, for example, if my soul is in barzakh at that time, I don't know whether I'm going to die until that time or not, but if my soul is in barzakh at that time, then it will be put to complete unconsciousness and death.
Will you be resurrected with the same soul again?
Yes, the same soul. Yes, of course, the same soul. Yeah.
Yes.
My question actually is on Surah Baqarah, ayah number 7, where Allah actually says that He seals the heart of those who do not want to believe in Him. So where do these people stand, and why does Allah sort of say that He is going to seal the hearts? And then in actually ayah 10, He even says that I increase the disease of their hearts. So I don't understand here, how come we say that He is Ghafurur Rahim, and yet He has already given up on these people as if they are beyond redemption?
Yeah, في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا. In their hearts is a disease, and Allah make that disease to increase. Well, this of course is nothing to do with the next world, or at least so far as we are concerned in our discussion. It means in this world, if there is a disease in your heart, and then you do not try to cure that disease of the heart. As, for example, as soon as we get a disease in our body, we get concerned, we want to cure it, go to doctor. But disease of the heart is usually neglected, unnoticed. And if we do not try to cure it, and we continue with our evil action, that disease would increase. You have this hadith from the Prophet, peace be on him, that as soon as a person commits a sin, a black spot appears on his heart. And then the more they sin, the more this spot spreads on the heart, so that eventually it covers the whole heart. And that is exactly the same verse, isn't it? فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا. These maras will increase by their actions. And since this verse is about munafiqun, it means that they have disease in their hearts. Their faith is very weak. They somehow, through their evil action, they show their nifaq, and this would increase that disease as well, again. And therefore the disease is increased and increased and increased until it encompasses the whole heart.
Yes. Correct.
Increasing their disease, and even the sealing of the hearts, and
Yeah, all these are in Arabic as well attributed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because everything in this world is attributed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Especially in these cases, Allah is very concerned to attribute these to Himself, so that we don't think that there are two things working here. Everything is under His will, and He permits it. He permits this disease to increase. He actually, for anyone going away from Him and doing evil, He will make the heart as that it would not be able to listen anymore or to see anymore. It is His act, really.
so actually He gives up on that person.
He
gives up on that person. That person is beyond redemption, in other words.
That's another issue. We will discuss this when a person will be beyond redemption and will be qualified to go to hell eternally. We'll discuss this. This doesn't mean He gives up on the person. This is just a systematic type of thing which happens. You commit evil, your heart will be blackened. And this is what Allah has decreed, and Allah will do it. Evil will put a blot, would put darkness on the heart, and this is what Allah does actually. And that's for everyone, not on specific people. Yeah.
Yes. Maulana Sahab, you have unleashed a lot of thinking in everybody, to the point that you are, I'm beginning to think, is the correlation of Allah to His creation. You need to define Allah, you need to define His creation. The creation in its manifest form and the invisible form.
The relation of Allah with His creation.
Because I think the the thing, I mean, the creation, there seems to be some correlation between the creation of Allah. That means everything comes out of nothing and everything dissolves in nothing.
Good point to think about. So, another thing to dwell upon. Of course, many of these thoughts will be somehow answered after we carefully see how this whole process is going to end. Of course, it does not end in nothing. It ends in something magnificent that we cannot believe, if I have got your question rightly.
I don't mean nothing, I mean invisible. It's like water that evaporates, you don't see it, then it comes back.
Yeah, I really cannot understand. It means that the thought unleashed in you is beyond my understanding, really. So maybe we discuss this a bit later.
Yes, from the sisters.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
I'm of the understanding that God understands one language, Allah understands one language, and that is the language of the heart. So, we know that the revealed religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they're accepted in the Quran. My question is, and I'm referring also back to a previous question, that those who lived before the revealed religions, and they had their own special way of communicating with Allah, the one supreme God, did he hear that, even though it was not maybe spoken in the Arabic language? And those around the world who have never been exposed to the Quran and understand the language of the Quran, can the Lord, can the one supreme God, the all-encompassing, understand their language from the heart?
Well, I think Allah knows more than one language anyhow. And even if that language is language of the heart. The whole issue of religion is for those people who want, in whose heart there is a want to talk to God, to please Him, but they don't know how. And that's why God sends messengers to tell people how. And also for people who know that life is not limited in this world, in this short period. There's something to come. What should we do for what is going to come? Again, religion comes. Now, these religions have come in different languages. Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا بِلِسَانِ قَوْمِهِ. We never have sent a prophet but with a language, he spoke a language which was spoken by his people. So, how many languages? We don't know. And Allah says there was not even one ummah in which a messenger was not sent. So there are many of them. Now, if there are a people who have not received this blessing from Allah, this is a blessing. It's not a burden, it's a blessing. If there are a group of people who have not received this blessing, yes, they speak their own language. But you see, the point is, there is a difference between educated person and uneducated person. You know how an educated person speaks in any field and how an uneducated person speaks in any field. A man of religion who is following a prophet is like an educated person. Why should we always think that uneducatedness in the field of spirituality is better than being educated? We feel that our heart should be free to talk to God in any way that it wishes. And this is better than being educated. While we feel that in any field, in any worldly field, education is better than ignorance, when it comes to God, when it comes to our relation with God, we think that no, why should we be educated? Lest we speak as ignorant people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like that man who Rumi says that was talking to God, and he said, where are you so that I come and I sweep your room and polish your shoes and something like this. Of course, for an uneducated man of a spirit, it's good. There is no punishment for it. Allah would reward it. But an educated person in the field can do much, much better than this.
Yes. Doctor, from what you have described so far, using the eyes of Quran, of course, that there is this process through Allah's grand design of taking the universe as we know today from Nashat al-Ula to Nashat al-Akhirah, and there is a clear, defined process, and this is how Allah conducts His affairs. This is going from the universe as we know to the next world. Do we have any information in ayahs of Quran or body of knowledge whether the universe as we know today, did it evolve from something else to what we have reached?
There are indications in the Quran that, for example, yes, this universe was much smaller than this. It was somehow expanded out of something very, very tight, something very dense. أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا. Don't they see that the heavens and the earth, the universe, were very tight, dense, and we opened it? And this opening of the universe and expansion is mentioned in other verses. And in fact, in Surah Zariyat, it indicates that the universe is still expanding. وَالسَّمَاءَ بَنَيْنَاهَا بِأَيْدٍ وَإِنَّا لَمُوسِعُونَ. We have created all this universe with power, and we are expanding. So, of course, there has been an evolution. And also, there are indications that this dense matter that you see now was not there before. This dense matter has come out of water and vapor. وهو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في ستة أيام وكان عرشه على الماء. His arsh, his order of creation, the way we define the arsh is actually the place of contact of Allah with His creation. That's arsh, that's where He sits. Sitting, of course, means that this is where Allah comes to contact with His creation. That it was on water, and this water expanded into something more solid. So there are indications of such an evolution of the universe, although the details obviously are very, very difficult to understand from this tiny knowledge and little statements that we have.
Yes, sir.
From the first death to the second death, when the souls will be in the state of complete unconsciousness, and then they will resurrect. I suppose that applies to the whole humanity,
yes.
Not only to the Muslims. So when they resurrect, will they resurrect as Hindus and Christians and Jews and Buddhists and Muslims and this separately, or will there be a one unified whole? And if they are going to resurrect as separate units, as we know them on this earth, it should be very easy, because about 80% of them will go straight to hell. And it will be only about 20% of Muslims who will then be examined. Is that true?
Well, certainly not. It's certainly not true. The names that we are using today are not the terms which are used on that day. Very different, very different. No matter what we call ourselves, we will be tagged by angels in a different way, according to how we have behaved, how we have treated our religion. That's very important, how we have treated our religion. You see, as I said in Surah Waqa, it doesn't talk about religions. It says on that day you come as three groups. Al-Muqarrabun, Ashabul Yamin, and Al-Mukaththibun, Ashabul Mash'am or Ashabul Shamal. This is a category which goes beyond religions. And then, of course, يَوْمَ نَدْعُ كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ بِكِتَابِهِمْ, the day we call every nation with their books. These things, these come later and has a different meaning. So let us go through and see. This is a long journey. And then when this religion becomes apparent, when all these concepts, what's the difference between a man who believes in Trinity and a man who believes in Tawheed, for example? Okay, when does it become important? Now that we have come back fresh on earth, we are not asked about this now. Later on. The closer we get to God, the more refined should be our ideas about Him. Otherwise we will be in difficulty. And that's why they say, know your God in this world. Because then otherwise you will be in difficulty. Not in Barzakh. As I said, Barzakh is a place for a different type of standards. Not immediately after we are raised, but much, much later on. Now, I think one very good indication of how Allah is going to look upon us as Muslims is the way Allah talks with the Jews. You see, we are not very much different from Jews. They are given a book, we are given a book. They have many prophets, we have one prophet, they have many prophets. Okay? But the way Allah speaks with those committed Jews who rejected Jesus, committed Jews who rejected Muhammad, peace be on him, committed Jews who treated their religion in wrong way, I think that's an indication that how Allah is going to speak to us as well. The way we have treated our religion, the way we have treated our faith, the way we have treated our saints is going to be very similar. So let's put these names aside. Allah does not call us by the name we call ourselves. He would call us what we are. We wouldn't say who we are. Yeah.
Yes.
Your earlier comment regarding Allah has sent prophets for all the ummahs, could then some of the prophets develop the religions of maybe Hinduism, Sikhism, Jain? Because today's lecture somehow brought back to my mind that I've been thinking of reincarnation, or have I lost a point somewhere?
Well, the fact that Allah has sent prophets to every nation doesn't mean that He has sent the same prophets in different bodies. We had 124,000 prophets, and during the whole history they were scattered around the world preaching different people. They were not reincarnated into different nations. And every prophet had his own individual identity, personality. We know Jesus Christ was very much different from Musa alayhi salam. Musa was very much different from our prophet, peace be on him. They were completely different identities, different individuals. And these 124,000 prophets were in the same way, completely different individuals. They went to different ummahs. Of course, we know after our prophets, there is no prophet anymore. So we are not talking about Sikhism and religions who have come after. Islam. But in the past, yes, of course, there should have been many prophets in India. But how those religions have evolved into Hinduism is unknown to us. There should have been many prophets in China, there should have been many prophets in Africa. But how these have evolved into the religions which are existing at the moment is unknown to us. Just like Christianity, how has it evolved? Because this is very close to us now. How has it evolved, in our view, from monotheism to Trinity? Well, it has an evolution coming there. So in these religions also it has been possible that an evolution has taken.
I'll take one more question from a gentleman in the back there.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
You had mentioned in your lecture that after the second death, when the trumpet is blown, we are left to wander before the final reckoning. Do you know how long that period is? Could you specify?
The period of wandering, you mean?
Yes.
I hope it doesn't take long, because I hope it doesn't take long. Yeah.
And who are we going to be wandering with? Is it the family and friends that we know in this world, or is it going to be with just random souls? Or
depends which part of this earth we are resurrected, actually, because bodies are scattered all over the earth. Depending which part we are resurrected. Yes, certainly we are told that when we see each other, when we see friends, relatives, we recognize them. And that's why they say on that day, some would run away from their fathers, from their mothers, from their spouses, because of course they seek help from them. We will come to all these, inshallah.
Brother Saifuddin, could I ask you to please come forward here, Tawajjuz Matam, and then we close it with ziyarat, please.
Us Hussain ibn Haidar pe lakhon salam, Nabi ke nawase pe lakhon salam, जिसको दोषे नबी पर बिठाया गया, जिसका जन्नत से जोड़ा मंगाया गया, जिसके भाई को जहर पिलाया गया, जिसको बैठे बिठाए सताया गया, उस हुसैन इब्ने